We've got a really fascinating stack of clinical research here on the desk today, and it's all about one topic: hallucinations.
Mm,
And for this deep dive, we're really trying to strip away the horror movie ideas.
right. The cliches.
Exactly. And just look at the straight biology. Because what these studies suggest is that a hallucination isn't, well, it's not a sign of madness. It's more like a technical glitch.
It's a glitch in the brain's processing software. That's a great way to put it. When you get into these journals, the conversation just immediately shifts from insanity
Hmm.
to structure and chemistry.
Yeah.
The brain is basically a prediction machine, and hallucinations are just what happens when the input gets corrupted.
And it's a huge spectrum, right? I mean, the sources cover everything from chronic conditions to something that could happen to any healthy person listening to this.
Absolutely.
The research also makes this really critical distinction right away between psychiatric and neurological causes. We tend to lump them all together, but the data shows a pretty clear divide. With something like schizophrenia, the hallucinations are almost always auditory.
Hearing voices. Yeah.
But when you start talking about visual hallucinations, seeing complex things, the arrow starts pointing away from mental health.
It points directly toward physical neurological issues. It's a key diagnostic fork in the road. If a patient comes in seeing people or animals, complex scenes that just aren't there.
You're not thinking schizophrenia first.
No, you're thinking of neurodegenerative conditions, things like Parkinson's disease or Lewy body dementia. It's a hardware issue,
Right.
not just a chemical thing.
Which brings us to Charles Bonnet syndrome. I found this part of the research just fascinating.
Oh, it's incredible.
It really hammers home that prediction machine idea you mentioned.
Yeah.
You have patients with perfectly healthy minds, but they have significant vision loss.
Right, like from macular degeneration.
And so the eyes stop sending good data to the brain, and the brain basically panics.
It panics. It hates a vacuum. If the visual cortex is starved of input, it just becomes hyperexcitable and starts firing off its own images.
So it's just making stuff up to stay busy?
Essentially, yeah. It could be geometric patterns or even fully formed figures. It's like the brain screensaver kicking on.
But it's not just random noise. This is the key takeaway for me. The type of hallucination is like a map. It's the brain telling you which wires are frayed.
It is absolutely a roadmap. Take smell, for instance. Phantasmia smelling things that aren't there.
Uh-huh.
The literature is very specific. If you suddenly smell something like burnt rubber or sulfur,
Yeah.
that's a classic indicator of a temporal lobe seizure.
Or a tumor pressing on that exact spot.
Exactly. Whereas something like tactile hallucinations,
Yeah.
that feeling of bugs crawling on your skin,
The point's somewhere else entirely.
completely. That's almost always linked to the nervous system rebounding during, say, alcohol or drug withdrawal.
Yeah.
The sensors are just misfiring as they recalibrate.
And then there's the one most people might have actually experienced: migraines.
Yes, the aura. About a third of sufferers get it.
Flashing lights, zigzag lines, even blind spots. That's technically a hallucination. Just a temporary electrical storm sweeping across the visual cortex.
Right.
But here's where the research gets a little uncomfortable. You don't actually need a disease or a withdrawal symptom to hallucinate.
No, you don't.
You just need to be awake for too long.
The studies on sleep deprivation are pretty clear. After 48, maybe 72 hours, a perfectly healthy brain will start to, well, dream while it's still awake.
The barrier just dissolves.
It does. And the same thing can happen with extreme grief. In bereavement, it's actually considered, normal to briefly see or hear a loved one who has recently passed.
The brain is just struggling to update its model of reality.
It's processing an absence.
Mhm.
Or think about just simple metabolic stress. A really high fever, especially in a child or an elderly person, can trigger delirium.
It's just the engine overheating.
That's all it is. And that's why the big takeaway from all these sources is so critical. A hallucination is a symptom. It's a check engine light.
It's not the disease itself. It's a signal that something, sleep, chemistry, the physical structure has gone wrong.
And that light is serious.
The sources are emphatic about that. If that light comes on for you, it is a medical emergency. It is not something you wait out.
Absolutely not. You need a professional to figure out if it's a lack of sleep or something more complex going on.
You can't diagnose it from the inside.
No.
It does make you wonder, though. I mean, if the brain can invent a whole person in the room just because it's tired or its visual input is low, how much of what we see every day is real?
And how much is just the brain
Uh,
auto-completing the world for us?
that is the question to sleep on. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
We'll see you next